Dorcas, called Tabitha, a story of love with sleeves rolled up, based on Acts 9:36-42. Opening, in the city of Joppa, where the sea breathed against the stones and ships groaned in the harbor, there lived a woman whose name was spoken softly and often. Some called her Tabitha, others called her Dorcas. But the people of Joppa did not love her because of the beauty of her name. They loved her because of the beauty of her hands. Her hands had held cloth and needle. Her hands had prepared food. Her hands had wiped tears. Her hands had carried gifts to doorways where sorrow lived. Her hands had served the poor, the widows, the forgotten, and the weary. The Bible says of her, she was always doing good and helping the poor. Acts 9:36. That is a short sentence, but it tells a long story. It tells us that Dorcas did not love only in words. She loved in deeds. She did not only say, "God bless you." She became part of God's blessing. And through her life, we see one beautiful truth. God's love is often expressed through practical service and compassion, not always through great speeches, not always through miracles in public places, not always through voices from heaven. Sometimes God's love comes through a warm coat, a loaf of bread, a visit, a patient ear, a garment sewn through the night, a quiet person who notices pain and decides to do something about it. This is the story of Dorcas. 1. The city by the sea. Joppa was a busy place. Every morning the sun rose over rooftops of clay and stone, while the sea flashed silver beyond the harbor. Fishermen pulled their nets from the water. Merchants shouted prices in the streets. Children ran barefoot between market stalls. Women carried jars. Sailors unloaded cargo from distant places. The city smelled of salt, fish, dust, oil, bread, wool, and spices. People came and went constantly. Some had money, some had none. Some had homes filled with family. Some went to sleep alone. And among the most vulnerable people in that city were the widows. In those days, a widow could easily become poor. If her husband died and she had no strong family to care for her, life became uncertain. Food could become scarce. Clothing wore thin. Rent could become impossible. People might pity her for a moment, then pass by. But Dorcas did not pass by. She had trained her eyes to see what others ignored. When she walked through the marketplace, she did not only notice colors, noise, and trade. She noticed the elderly woman sitting too quietly beside a wall. She noticed the child whose tunic had become too small. She noticed the widow who smiled politely but had worry hidden around her eyes. Dorcas noticed, and noticing was the beginning of her ministry. Lesson. Before service begins with our hands, it begins with our eyes. Many people are surrounded by need but never see it. Dorcas teaches us that compassion starts when we allow ourselves to notice people, not just crowds, not just problems, people. God's love often moves through someone who is willing to pay attention. 2. The room of thread and prayer. Dorcas had a room where she worked. It was not a grand room. There were no marble pillars, no golden lamps, no rich carpets. But to the poor of Joppa, that room may have been more precious than a palace. There were baskets of cloth, folded wool, linen scraps, needles, thread, a small lamp, perhaps a wooden stool, perhaps a window where the breeze from the sea slipped in during the afternoon. And there, day after day, Dorcas sewed. She cut fabric carefully. She measured with wisdom. She strengthened seams so the clothing would last. She worked not as though she were throwing leftovers to the poor, but as though every garment mattered because every person mattered. Sometimes, as she worked, she prayed, "Lord, let this cloak warm Miriam when the nights grow cold. Lord, let this tunic fit the boy well. Lord, comfort Hannah. Her grief is still fresh. Lord, help me finish before the Sabbath." Her needle moved in and out of the cloth. The thread tightened. Slowly, something useful took shape. Maybe a younger woman once came to her and said, "Dorcas, why do you work so hard? They are only simple garments." Dorcas may have looked up with a gentle smile. "Simple things can carry great love," she said. The younger woman touched the folded cloth. "But no one important will see this." Dorcas answered, "God will." And she returned to her work. Lesson. Dorcas shows us that no act of service is small when it is done in love. We often think serving God must be dramatic. We imagine platforms, crowds, recognition, and applause. But Dorcas served God with a needle. Her ministry was cloth, thread, patience, and kindness. God's love can be shown through ordinary skills placed in His hands. Cooking can become ministry. Cleaning can become ministry. Driving someone to an appointment can become ministry. Listening can become ministry. Fixing, sewing, teaching, visiting, giving, encouraging, all can become ministry. The question is not, is my gift impressive? The question is my gift available to God?